Welcome to KiwaniTalk. We're a public access program put together by people from the Dearborn Kiwanis Club, usually at Dearborn High School, but this is the middle of the summer and we're doing a remote location broadcast. I'm very happy to be here at the longest running cable access program in the entire world, and we're happy to have been doing it for almost 30 years. Today we have a very special program. We have two wonderful people from the Veterans Administration, Katrina BeShears and Christina Mariani. And I'm going to guess one of your titles is Community Engagement and Partnership Coordinator with Suicide Prevention. Okay. And the other person's title is Community Engagement and Partnership Coordinator with Suicide Prevention. You both have the same job.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. And again, the VA, it's a wonderful organization. It does a great job. You've been there for a while, but you weren't always at the Veterans Administration. Where did you come from, Katrina?
I came from Detroit. Metro Detroit is basically home.
Okay.
And been mostly done most of my work within the city of Detroit. Mm-hmm. And moving to the Veterans Hospital wasn't a large shift, as I've done a lot of community work and consider it home. So.
Okay. Where'd you go to school?
Wayne State University.
And that's a good school.
Yeah.
And you're a social work person with?
A bachelor's and a master's in social work, yes.
Okay, and how about you, Christina? Where are you from?
I grew up in Clinton Township, so I'm native to Metro Detroit as well. And I used to work briefly in Oakland County before I moved to the VA, but I've been in Metro Detroit most of my life, and I went to school at Michigan State and Wayne State.
We went to the University of Michigan, which is up in East Lansing.
Yeah.
So there you go. Social work, though, what was it that attracted you to that field? It's, people who are caring, giving, all this sort of stuff, but what brought you to the social work field?
For me, social work has always been close to my heart. Growing up, my family, we had some struggles, and because my mother had a strong natural community to assist us during our time of struggle, meaning friends and family, we were able to move our life along and recreate a new life when we needed. At some point, I recognized that not everybody has those natural supports. Sometimes people are in communities where everyone is in crisis at the same time and nobody has the extra to put in and to help move people forward. So I wanted to be a part of assisting folks who may not have the resources available to them, give them assistance that is available, and just encourage hope and inspire hope that things and people can change as humans.
And Christina, what was your path?
I think I really benefited from social work services as an adolescent too, and I found a lot of hope and empowerment there, and so I was hoping to give some practical steps for folks to take to improve their lives and feel more satisfied with their lives and more positive about life in general.
So we've all heard the word social worker, and I have when I deal with them, but I really don't know what it is that social workers do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there's a broad range, but what is it that they, and education-wise, what was the education process, and what did you have to go through with your bachelor's and the master's?
Yeah, so the education process is pretty extensive. They do, because social work is such a vast field with different angles and opportunities, there are a lot of different classes that we take. So ranging from, different policy and procedures to clinical practice and, how to utilize community resources and all different, learning about a little bit of psychology and sociology, history of sociology. So there's a lot of background and variety in the classes, which I found really interesting. And then there's also an internship process to both the undergrad and the master's programs that you get to have real life experience with clients and with working in the field. And I think that's where a lot of growth happens and where people can really feel like they've hit their stride and can feel like they're a part of the field and the work.
So what different kinds of areas of social work are there? I mean, not just, I don't know.
So there's medical social work, mental health social work. You think emergency services, not just in a hospital, but you think of, I know Access Community Health Center is active in this area. They a lot of times have therapy or resources in terms of referrals for shelter, clothing, the concrete services we like to talk about. You know, you can have hospital social work, hospice social work, end-of-life issues. You can be a social work that provides therapy all day long in your own private practice for couples, families, children. There's school social work. What else?
Yeah.
Seems like there's a ton of it, so it's
Yeah.
more than, if you sit and think about it, there's probably a broad range of those types of things. And that I always sort of vision a social worker sitting in a little cubicle and just interviewing people and talking to them, but it appears there's way beyond that. So the Veterans Administration,
Yes.
let's talk about that for a bit. It is, again, I've heard of the VA. I never had the opportunity to serve, but it serves military members. And what do you guys do? What is the VA? What's its mission?
VA is comprised of 3 different branches. So there's Veterans Health Administration, which is where we're from, which is all the health care that's associated with being in the military and being a veteran. There's VBA, which is Veterans Benefits Administration, which is all of the monies and the benefits that one might earn and continue receiving beyond their service. And then there's the National Cemetery Association, which is all death benefits and cemetery-related services that one might receive after their death.
So it seems like it's more than just a large John Dingell Medical Center building
Correct.
with facilities there. It expands way beyond that.
Right, so John Dingell, which is the Detroit VA hospital, is one of the 3 entities, the Hospital Health Administration that Christina spoke about. And then attached to our hospital are community-based outpatient clinics, which we call CBOCs, which are located attached to the hospital but might be clinics, outpatient clinics, or they might have some specialties that we service, and they're around our catchment area as well. And then there's also the vet centers, which provide strictly counseling and therapy, which isn't a part of those 3 pieces that we spoke about, which is separate. So a lot of times when people think Veterans Affairs, they think we're all, and we are all kind of one, but it's really, there's a lot more pieces to the puzzle.
And again, sometimes people have this image that the veteran that goes to the VA hospital rolls up in needing assistance to walk in the door and in a wheelchair, and that, you know, it's all medical sort of stuff, but it appears that there's a lot more to it than just that.
A lot more.
Yeah, and we're really grateful, especially at the Detroit VA. You know, we certainly do have veterans who meet that description and others as well, and it's nice to have so many services that are both medical and like social services all under one roof to be able to, you know, help folks navigate, and, you know, if they need to grab lunch or go to the credit union while they're doing their appointment, then they can do that all under one roof. So we're really grateful to have that.
And it seems that veterans have sort of a commonality that most people don't have. When I grew up, there were 3 TV channels you could watch: Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, maybe Channel 9. And we all watched the same show, all had the same things, all participated. Now it's so fractured. Military members have that. They've gone through the basic training, they've gone through their A schools, they've gone through the deployments and things like that. And the community, even if there is Marines versus the Army and the Navy guys, that they all have this commonality. Do you see that?
Yes, yes. It's a unique community that is special and is life-giving, I think, for our military members. And being at the VA hospital, another benefit is that you can even sense that working at the hospital and being a part of that health system, because there's an automatic bond that our veterans share with one another. Like you said, even if there's, you know, some playful kibitzing back and forth about branches, there's a automatic kind of connection there that can be very, you know, providing that hope that you spoke about earlier. And staff feel that too. We both didn't serve, but we come from family members, long histories, both of us who have loved ones who have served. And there's even that among the staff. There can be that camaraderie, and it's unique from working from the community to the health system.
So a prerequisite for being able to utilize the Veterans Administration services is to be a veteran.
Correct.
So another reason to get out there and to think about getting involved in helping your country is to think about the service benefits that Veterans Administration has. So, some of the things we're going to get into your specific area that after that when we get past a little bit of the break. But what are some of the other areas that you thought about? Did you always work in the suicide prevention area? Were there other parts? How did you morph into that? Or where were you before you got into this particular assignment?
Yeah, thank you. So it was not always like my end goal to be in suicide prevention, although I can kind of see it now in retrospect, the path that I took. But in my undergraduate internship that I was speaking about that we participate in, my undergrad internship was at a domestic violence shelter that was connected to the school that I went to, which was a really empowering and exciting thing to be a part of. And it was such a small organization that we really got to like have a lot of experience there. So I was grateful for that. And then following that, I jumped right into substance use treatment, which was also not my original plan path. But you know, it was I learned a lot right off the bat, and I really enjoyed it, and I grew a strong fondness for the population and feeling connected to them. So that was in the community, and then also switched to substance use within the VA, and was there for a good 5 years before I switched to suicide prevention, which is, you know, there's a lot of overlap between all three of those populations, right? They have a lot in common, and a lot of the risk overlaps a bit. But yeah, it's a wonderful group.
And Katrina, what was your path to this particular assignment? You've been at the VA for like a little while too.
A little while, yeah. So been at the VA about 12 years, but before that worked in substance use. Actually, before I got my master's, I worked with my bachelor's, and I really found I wanted to delve in and get more tools and skills because I was passionate about that work. And mostly did mental health with trauma-based substance use, outpatient groups, individual therapy, things like that. And then went into the VA, started in the inpatient psychiatric ward and general mental health, substance use, and now to suicide prevention. So suicide prevention is everywhere all the time. So it starts right now. We're doing suicide prevention. We're talking about resources, we're connecting to the community, and at the end of the day, that's valuable.
So it sounds like the path that both of you have taken has sort of led you to a pretty good outcome. How long have you worked together?
7 years.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So has there always been this assignment, or is the focus on the suicide prevention, how long has that been a priority for the VA?
Suicide prevention has been a priority, even if informally, for many, many years. I think, you know, we've learned a lot about how service might impact somebody and in different ways, and how that might increase their risk. But just since 2018 is when there was a formal initiative to really expand the services around suicide prevention specifically, really expand the team and the staffing around that, and also expand into the community a bit to help support the veterans who are not in direct VA care but receive their care elsewhere, and to really partner together with our community to help prevent suicide in all areas. Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, talk, focus in on this area, get some ideas, see what's inside the black box.
Thanks.
Don't go away.
Thank
We'll be back with KiwaniTalk with Katrina BeShears and Christina Mariani right after these words from Kiwanis. Don't go away.
Is a kid fearless? Nervous? Playful? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
I didn't want to talk. She just sat with me. That was all I really needed.
Coming, Mark?
We got back.
And of course, we went to different cities. One day, he called me out of the blue. And it's comforting to know that I always can count on him to have my back.
We hadn't talked for a while, and then she texted me, and we went for a walk.
She called me from time to time. I really didn't think I needed any help.
I was away from my family during the holidays, and a friend invited me to their house for dinner. It really meant a lot.
He knew I was having a rough week, so he asked me to go fishing with him.
My friend knew that I didn't want to go out, so she brought me dinner instead.
It took me from being really depressed to feeling like somebody cared. It gave me some hope. Just that one text.
Be there. Your call, your presence, your words, your support. Be there and help save a life.
Welcome back to KiwaniTalk. I'm your host, Gary Gardner. This episode brought to you by the people from the Dearborn Kiwanis Club, and welcome to our viewers in 39 cities around southeastern Michigan and our rerun people on Vimeo and YouTube. Today we're talking with Katrina BeShears and Christina Mariani from the Veterans Administration. Both of them, thank goodness, have the same title. I'll say it one more time. Community Engagement and Partnership Coordinator with Suicide Prevention.
Got it.
See that? And I didn't memorize that. I had to write it down because it's such a long title. Is there room on your card for all that?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes.
must be small print. So the idea of the suicide prevention is not new, but it is more. There's more emphasis on it. And is there a reason that's more emphasized recently, or in the last number of years since 2018?
Well, I think as a society, we have identified that suicide is an issue. It's a human issue, it's a community issue, and as federal government, we recognize that our service members and veterans have unique needs based upon their military experience, and there's nuanced things and pieces that we can provide as Veterans Health Administration to support them even more. There's been an increase in data collection over time, and we've recognized that we're trying to take more of what we call an upstream approach to suicide prevention, being more proactive with our efforts, and having the positions like ours where we're doing more community-based work as opposed to being reactive. So yes, it's always been a priority. A lot of our screenings, a lot of our tools that we use at VA are front runners and evidence-based therapies that folks in the community will retool and reuse themselves. So.
And that brings up a question. So how does someone come to ask for your services? Do they say, I'm having a crisis, or is there a family member saying, my husband, my brother, my son is having these issues? And if so, how do they get a hold of you guys? So how do they stream into your service?
All of the above.
Yeah, we receive people from all different referral sources. A lot of times it is family members. A lot of times people bring their family members in with them. And a lot of times it's they themselves, or and they're just coming in for, a wellness visit, or they're just interested in services. And sometimes they are, in that crisis state, and we receive them either through the emergency room or through same-day treatment. And
so if a medical caregiver is seeing a veteran, is there a protocol they sort of look at and say, I better call Christina or Katrina?
Yeah, so what happens is at every encounter with a veteran, any appointment, we're required to do baseline screening for suicide. And if it screens positive, then there's another layer of questioning and a protocol that is arranged that either the person is seen same day and triaged by a clinician like someone ourselves, or expedited follow-up. Also, another route besides what we already spoke about, folks often come through the VA by calling 988, which is the National Crisis Hotline for Suicide Crisis. And anyone can call that number, but if you dial 988 and press 1, you get directly connected to someone who's trained to talk with our service members and veterans. And if you agree to a referral, you'll get contact from someone from our office. You'll be connected to your local VA hospital, and they'll follow up with you to expedite those referrals as well. So every encounter that a veteran may have at VA, we're really trying to move to a no wrong door approach, and suicide prevention is part of that.
Do the service members who are not aware that they have the issue, are in denial of their issue, how do you get them to come to the services?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? I feel like it's, we all have, maybe it's ourselves sometimes, right, where we don't always see it from the inside, and it can be really tricky to know, when do I need help? And, we, like I said, we do often hear from family members and friends, and, something great about 988 is that you're also able to call on behalf of somebody. So say someone is having a hard day and they might need help, you can call on behalf either with them or separately as a third party, and help either collect resources for that person, free to relay them, or get them emergency help if need be. Sometimes we all just need time before we realize that, we might need to reach out to somebody, and so we respect that too, and everybody has a choice of whether they come to VA or not.
So if a family member or a friend or a coworker sees someone and not right, is there a resources available that I can say, here's the person's exhibiting this, and this sort of conduct, can that help? Is there something to do that, or do they have to go right to 988?
988 is an option. I mean, also there's lots of material online as well through 988 or Veterans Crisis, the VCL. Also, Veterans Affairs has a lot of information. My encouragement is, if you're concerned about someone and they know you care about them and you say, hey, I'm concerned, that's a good first step, and meeting them where they're at is important.
So as a family member, friend, coworker, see something, say something to that person, or get some information, and then not confront the person, but say, hey, what's going on?
Right. Just asking. A lot of times we're too afraid to ask because we're afraid to get the answer.
Yeah, we're too much like snowflakes. We're just afraid to ask somebody because we might get hurt. But I think that it's very important to be able to recognize. What signs or symptoms do people exhibit that are going through potential crises or actual crises?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think we also work with, our like I said, our community organizations to, so that we're all on the same page about what to look out for. But we also want, the average citizen to be able to check in on not only themselves, but their loved ones and the veterans who might be in their lives to be able to identify when something might be up and when to ask more questions. So the general answer that I usually give is any, drastic change in behavior. So if you notice that somebody is sleeping a lot more or a lot less than they usually do, eating a lot more or less, if you know that their substance use has changed in any direction, and I use this analogy because I think it works well. If they're usually Eeyore and today they're Tigger, or if they're usually Tigger and today they're Eeyore, maybe ask a question and check in and see, if there's something that you can help with or that they need assistance with to reach out with. So
once someone's identified themselves or friend and the veterans decided to participate or do something, what's the next step and what's the process?
There's a number of ways. So you can call 988, like we said, and you can get a referral placed, and they'll follow up with you by phone. You can go into, right now, there's new legislation that's been passed with what we call Compact Act. If a service member or a veteran is having a suicidal crisis, they can go to any local ER, urgent care, hospital, and receive that suicidal crisis care if it is related to that, at no cost, and they can reroute them to the VA for follow-up if they're interested. And again, like Christina said, our veterans have choice, right? But it is an option, and Compact is expanding, and our benefits for our veterans are expanding, and sometimes our veterans don't even realize how many benefits are out there, not just for suicidal crisis, but even for aftercare needs, afterlife issues.
So we're down to the last 3 or 4 minutes, but you've got the box, and what's in the box and what's important about this box.
Okay, so one of our priority areas for our specific job is lethal means mitigation, which means any access to anything that might end someone's life. So think about safe storage of guns, secure storage, think safe storage of medications. This is a medication lock box. You can get these through the pharmacy at the VA, or you can get them at a CVS. This is one way we like to encourage folks to secure their medications. If you have unused medications or old medications, the VA has medication envelopes that are self-addressed and prepaid, and folks can get those from the pharmacy at VA and put any and all meds in there except for sharps and liquids, because we want medications to be safely disposed of. So if you're Auntie Lou and you're cleaning out her house, you don't want to put those medications down the toilet. You want to safely dispose of them. The other thing we talk about secure storage of guns is our gun locks. We love to give these out there for free. VA promotes safe storage of guns because we want to create some time and space between someone, if they have the thought of suicide, of picking up a gun and killing themselves. A few seconds to have to unravel a lock can make a difference. Medication boxes are also helpful for, I don't know about you, but I have family members that forget when they've taken their medications.
You take 3 or 4 times the same day.
Yes.
So if you load them up once a week, you're good.
That's right. And then Narcan, which is really popular for us to know about because of the opioid crisis. If someone's overdosing, VA, you can get these for free, but I can, as a civilian, I can get them from CVS. I carry one in my bag. It's no harm, no foul. If someone is having overdose, you can do 2 squirts and recover them and call 911.
So is there, as we're down to our last little bit,
Yes.
number, website? 988 is the number.
Yes.
Website, is there a specific website that we can refer people to?
Yes, so there is the VA website, which is va.gov, but the Veterans Crisis Line also has its own website, which is veteranscrisisline.net.
Remarkable how that works out. Veteranscrisisline.net. It's just like it sounds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't get
And
much
there's a
better than
little
that.
chat feature on there. You can also text 988 if you need to.
So where is this going? Where do you see, what hope do you see, and what's your goal moving forward?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of goals. I think we are really hopeful about the work that we're doing and the way that we're able to connect not only with veterans but with each other within VA and our community partners and all the work that everybody is doing. And we're really hopeful to see more connection between veterans and their communities and their peers, and more hope for their future too. We always welcome people to come to the VA and, get registered, or if you've tried to be registered before and it didn't work out for whatever reason, we welcome you to try again.
The eligibility is changing to make
Yes.
it easier for service members to get in.
Correct. And I think another unique piece of our role as community engagement partnership coordinators is not only do we get to focus on work with our service members and veterans within the hospital, but one of our goals is to work with our partners, like Christina said. And so if that means equipping our partners by providing suicide prevention trainings or giving out gun locks or information and referrals, that is a lot of what we're doing. Because a lot of our service members and veterans may not want to come to VA, but we want to equip and empower those who are serving our veterans, whether it's down the street or at VA.
Gotcha. Well, Katrina BeShears, Christina Mariani, thank you for coming in. It's been very enlightening. And again, if someone's out there is having a family member, crisis coworker, 988. Go to the Veterans Crisis Line.net. See that? I can be trained. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank
It's very nice to see you.
you.
Take
Thank
care.
you for having
nice
us.
to meet you too. See you next time on KiwaniTalk. I'm Gary Gardner. Bye-bye.